Y'all, my hair today, I washed it last night and this is just how it came out. Like I woke up this morning and it was like this, including this little, including this little thing. I feel like it's very late 80s, early 90s. Is that right? Kind of like feathered. I don't know. It's just pandemic hair. It's like you take what you get. Today I'm reviewing Saie Beauty. It's a self-sponsored review. My channel budget for a review was spent by me in the passive voice on 5 products from saihello.com or saibeauty.com, whatever their website is. I bought it from the website. I did this because they just went into Sephora, so there's been, I feel, more buzz around this brand. It's a brand that I've always been interested in, and I had high hopes for each individual product based on the claims on the website. However, this is one of those tough ones. It's like, it's hard because I feel like someone somewhere designed these products, presumably like somebody formulated them. So it's someone's work. And I like to think that people have good intentions when they do things. Like I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I like to think that these products were formulated by people who really did think they were making something good, and they maybe, didn't ask enough, didn't poll enough people, didn't send out enough samples. Maybe they were overly optimistic and got overexcited about what they were doing, and so they kind of like didn't see the forest for the trees or something when they were deciding that the formulas were done and putting them on the market. That's the best case scenario. I like to think that that's the case rather than it being a case of let's put all of our attention and money into the marketing and the claims and make it seem really good, and then kind of, not bother to make the formulas very innovative or good, and people will buy it anyway because the marketing is so good. But that's unfortunately kind of what it's ended up feeling like to me, because all 5 of these products disappointed me, some more than others, but the bad has been very, very bad. And in fact, I think I'm going to title this review Saie Beauty, a horrible experience, because that is what it's been for me, unfortunately. If this is your first time to my channel, then hello, I'm glad that you're here. I'm Hannah and I love beautiful things. I don't only do reviews, I actually spend a lot of time just, playing with the makeup that I already own and rerouting my attention away from what's brand new and shiny and onto my existing collection, and trying to encourage y'all to do the same. But occasionally I do review new makeup, and that's what I'm doing today. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I have the Sun Visor, which I think is their newest product. It's their sunscreen. It's just a sunscreen. There's just one of it. It's not like a tinted thing. It doesn't come in different colors. It's just a broad spectrum SPF 35. It says sheer moisturizer. So it's like their sunscreen Coom moisturizer. I also am reviewing the slip cover, which to me is like the most compelling product on the site. It's the tinted moisturizer. So it's sort of like the same thing, but crossed with some kind of like foundation product. I also have the glowy base, which is called Glowy Super Gel. And I think this comes in 2 colors. I have it in the color Star Glow. And then I have the Balm, Dewy Balm, which is like their highlighting product, and the lip gloss. It's called Really Great Gloss. I just feel like you're setting yourself up if you call your thing Really Great X. Like, what if I had called my YouTube channel Really Great YouTube Channel? So yeah, I placed the order. I bought those 5 things. Everything was perfectly fine. And it shipped pretty quickly, and it arrived in a nice little box. And actually the box, the packaging is really beautiful. When I opened it, I was like, wow, like they've done a really beautiful job. I feel like what they've done is gone with millennial purple. They were like, millennial pink is so last decade, and we're going with millennial lavender. And it's effective. It's like this beautiful pale blue lavender. And they have, I don't have it out here, but they have shipped cotton balls in like a paper packet as their padding, which I don't know about that. Like, I actually don't feel like these products needed padding. Like, the boxes were all snug in a big box. Maybe if I had just ordered one thing and it were going to rattle around inside the box, it would make sense to have that padding. But when I opened it, it felt like a gimmick to me. It was like, why are you putting these cotton balls in here and saying like, oh, our packaging is usable as a makeup item? That's like, it seems like it was a really good idea in the boardroom, and then maybe it shouldn't have actually trickled down to be put into practice, because cotton balls ultimately aren't actually the best way. They're not the most sustainable way to.
This sounds like a transformer building.
Okay.
You might as well.
We're back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cotton balls ultimately aren't the most sustainable way, like aren't an eco-friendly way to apply makeup products and skincare products. Like to, some people use them, I think, to use cold cream or micellar water to remove makeup. Some people use them to apply toner. And a lot of us have switched to like reusable, washable rounds. Saie Beauty's like, we've done this really innovative, sustainable thing by using cotton balls as our padding in the packaging. But they're promoting the use of a thing that a lot of people are trying to move away from using. And I feel like it was unnecessary. Like, I don't think that these products aren't fragile. Like, they didn't need to be padded, you know what I mean? Or if they did, they could have just used the paper that they used to make the bag that contained the cotton balls and like crumpled that up and put it in there. Like, they could have used something that was fully recyclable in the way that cotton balls aren't. I was just like, oh, this is so aesthetic and lovely and tactile and very convenient because I got to use cotton balls for the first time in years because I don't use them anymore. You know what I mean? I've replaced them with washable ones. But then ultimately I was like, but I don't get, it does not compute. You know what I mean? Maybe a metaphor for the entire experience. The beauty of the packaging, though, the way in which they've succeeded at checking all the boxes is undeniable. I feel like it has, it kind of marries the sophisticated packaging that some of us are drawn to with the kind of fun, youthful feeling packaging that others of us are drawn to. It's almost like Glossier with something like Charlotte Tilbury or Hourglass. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're going for both of those markets at the same time with the way that they put the packaging together. That's very smart. Clearly they nailed that one. That's like the main thing that I feel like they've done successfully. Let's get into the products themselves. So the Sun Visor, the first one, is this it? Yeah. The Sun Visor, it's their newest product, I believe. It's supposed to be a moisturizing sunscreen or a sunscreening moisturizer, a moisturizer with SPF 35 in it. And it's supposed to be like a sheer and weightless, almost like applying like a serum or an oil, like a really skincare experience. The buzzwords are like sheer, dewy, lightweight, fresh, easy for the skin to absorb. It's like all of this stuff that it's saying. Clean, dewy, silky. So I was really expecting that there would have been a premium on the experience of touching and using and applying the substance itself and on its performance as a layer in your makeup and skincare routines, because it says apply as the last step in your skincare routine. So I opened it up and squirted it out, and lo and behold, it's like this dark gray-ish taupe color. And it does sheer out. And I've taken really good close-up swatches so that you can see that it's absolutely not going to apply like a full coverage product in that color. Like, it's not applying a full coverage, of course, of that color to your skin. It's supposed to be universal. And of course, I understand that putting pigment like that in a product like this helps it be less likely to leave a white cast. And a lot of people have skin tones where that's a real problem. And I totally understand that it's really important that skincare companies are starting to innovate and really push towards making SPF products that work for everyone in that they don't leave a white cast on the skin. And I really support that. And I'm glad if that's what they were trying to do in formulating it this way and like putting this pigment in it essentially. I'm glad that they're trying to do that. I'm glad whenever I see a company trying to do that. However, first of all, that wasn't its only issue, but I'm going to address that first because that was the first thing that surprised me. But you'll see when I put it on my hand and sheer it out, you can see side by side that on one side, it looks a little bit like I've put on a tanning product, like a foundation product that's just a shade or two darker than my skin in order to give myself a healthy glow. And I know that a lot of people want that and are looking for that. And again, if this was the only issue, then maybe I would recommend it because I know that for a lot of people, that sounds great. But it pills. That's the real problem. That's the real and true and ultimate problem. Because if it were just this issue of the fact that they were like, we're making a universal shade, but it wasn't in fact universal, they could go back with this formula and make a lighter version for people with very, very pale skin, and maybe even make a darker version for people with very, very deep skin if this one happened not to work in that direction as well. But this formula pills pretty much as I'm rubbing it in. It feels like it's not going to, but as soon as it starts to set into the skin, as I continue to rub it in, it pills. Or if I'm very delicate about putting it on and then I leave it and leave it and leave it and like let it sit and let it set, then when I go back and rub either more of it on top of it or any other product like concealer or foundation or their other thingy on top of it, then rubbing that product into my skin with a brush or with my fingers causes it to pill. I have never successfully managed to wear this because every time I applied it, when I went in with other products, it would pill and I had to wash it all off of my face. And I tried because I knew I was going to be reviewing this. And as I started to imagine what I was going to say, I was like, I had better try a lot of times in a lot of different ways. Meaning like letting it set before applying the other product, just putting a thin layer on, putting a more thick layer on, putting it on top. Almost every time I put it on top of almost a bare face. Like usually when things pill, it's because you've put them on top of something else, you know? So I started with just basic watery serums and let them soak in for a really long time before I went in with this, and it still pilled. And then I just started trying it on bare skin. Like actually today when I filmed the demo, it was on bare skin that I was putting this, and it still pilled horribly on my face. And you can see, I showed you the pilling in the overhead swatch. I like rubbed it again after it had pretty much set into my skin, so you could hopefully see the pilling. It's really tiny, so it might be kind of hard to see. But I also showed you in the footage today when I was applying it, that when I went back and rubbed it, the pills came off on my fingers. And the pills are like this dark, taupey, gray, black. And the only pigment that's in them is the pigment that's in the product. So I think that they tried really, really hard to make something that wouldn't have a white cast. But in doing that, which again, great, that is a noble cause. People need to be doing that. People formulating products need to be paying attention to that. But in doing that, they made something that has these grayish blacky pigments in it and pills. And so it pills into these little dots that are like specks. I tried, y'all. I really wanted it to work because then that would have been exciting. A really beautiful, lightweight, silky sunscreen product. I could see this not pilling on someone who doesn't wear any other makeup. Like if you don't wear any makeup and you just put one really thin layer and then you leave it and you never touch it for the entire day. And that's all that you want from Saie is just like one thin moisturizing layer of sunscreen and you're just never ever going to like touch your face, then maybe. I'm here to tell you that if the person I just described to you is not you, then don't buy this product. All right, I need to move on to the next thing. I was going to try to make this review short and sweet. LOL. Okay, let's talk about slip tint. And right away we're running into another thing that I find kind of annoying about this selection of products and this brand. On the back of the sun visor, it says, apply generously as the last step of your skincare routine and 15 minutes before sun exposure. That's the directions. On the back of the slip cover, which on the website is called slip tint, but on the bottle says slip cover, it says directions. Apply generously as the last step of your skincare routine and 15 minutes before sun exposure. That's the same directions. They, I think, are implying, to me, I read in that they're not meant to be used together. It's like either or. So this is a tinted moisturizing sunscreen, and this is supposed to be a universal moisturizing sunscreen. In theory, and I have done this, I tried it a number of times over the course of, it's like 10 days that I've been testing these products. In theory, you could put down the sun visor and then put the slip cover on top. I'll tell you that causes the sun visor to pill horribly. Like they don't layer over one another. You definitely wouldn't put down the slip cover and then the sunscreen on top. No. I thought that when I purchased all these products, having spent a pretty decent long time on the website, I thought that what I was buying was like a really amazing, lightweight, jelly, silky sunscreen that would set into my skin, and then a tinted moisturizing product that could be layered on top of it to neutralize some of the redness in my skin. It really seems like that when you're looking on the site, like that, it seems like the claims. And then you think, of course that's what they designed, because it's one company and they only have a handful of products. So of course they designed them to be used together. Everything from the directions to the formulas indicates that that's not what they intended to do. And it makes it feel like they just designed this product and then they were like, you know what's really popular right now and what might sell really well? A sunscreen, if we claimed it to be silky and universal. And so then they made this too. That's what it makes it feel like. And again, I hope I'm not being uncharitable. That's just what it feels like. Okay, let's get into this product, Slipcover. I purchased Very Fair, the fairest shade, and I'll show you the picture on the website. The swatch was very promising to me because it looks really, really pale, really yellow. It really does look like the color of my Makeup Forever Ultra HD, which is a really pale and very neutral to yellow color. And that's the color that I need for a foundation product, right? Because I am that color. It really looks like that on the website. The product itself is just a little bit darker than that. It's just not quite as pale. It definitely still works for me. And this is possibly the best thing about the entire experience. The biggest pleasant surprise is that the lightest shade actually is light enough for someone with my skin tone, and that is very, very rare. I have comparison swatches. It's rare for a tinted moisturizer. I have comparison swatches so you can see the color compared to my NARS concealer, which is my spot concealer, compared to the Makeup Forever Ultra HD, compared to my Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Stick, which is way too dark and pink for me. And in fact, swatching it out next to these made me realize that I probably just need to let that go because it's really not a match for me even in the slightest, but it is the lightest shade in that range. You know what I mean? So you can at least see. However, it's just not, the swatch is misleading. Even though the color does work for me, the swatch is misleading. It makes it look like it's very, very light and bright. And when a product like this is sheer, for me, with the redness that I have with what I'm trying to cover, the lighter and brighter, the better. So that's what it made it look like I was buying. I would say, looking on my hand in real life, the swatch on my hand of the lightest shade of Slipcover, the one called Very Fair, looks like the swatch on the website of the third lightest one, Deep Fair. Maybe kind of like the second lightest one, Light Fair, but it really is the best visual match between my screen and my hand for the third lightest one. So it's a little bit of a mixed review about the color because, again, it does work, and I'm delighted that it wasn't like several shades too dark for me to even wear. Like, I'm glad that it didn't make a line of demarcation and darkness on my skin like the sunscreen does. But I was still disappointed by the difference between what they're saying they've made and what they actually did make and what was actually in the bottle when it arrived. In terms of texture, probably again, actually no, it's not the very least offensive of everything. It is very cosmetically elegant. It doesn't pill, it doesn't have the issues of the other one. It's nice. It like rubs into the skin. It's very sheer. It provides very, very little coverage. And I shot some footage of myself. I'll tell you, I shot footage of myself applying the sun visor this morning, the sunscreen, so that I could roll that footage for you. And then I immediately went and washed my face off. I'm not wearing the sunscreen today. You can't. I am wearing still the Slipcover that I applied today. I'll show you that footage now. I applied it and I've got, terrible blemishes on this cheek right now. And you'll be able to see with one layer that it did somewhat brighten some of the redness that I have. And it does look pretty nice and dewy and glowy when first applied. And then you'll see me go back and apply another layer to my most blemished areas. And you'll see that it does build up a little bit. It can in no way be built to anything full coverage. I mean, it's not supposed to be. It's a tinted moisturizer. It is just tinted, and it's like a skincare product, like a moisturizing product that's tinted, like a tinted sunscreen. And it might be just that I'm not a tinted sunscreen kind of person, or that I don't have good enough skin for that. I feel like if I did want one on any given day, I wouldn't mind reaching for this one. Like if my skin cleared up completely and I didn't have any blemishes to cover and the redness started to kind of fade, but maybe I was dealing with just a little bit of redness, hormonal redness around my chin or something, and I were going hiking, or I were gonna like spend the day at the beach, I could see myself grabbing this and just like rubbing it into my face as a way of giving my skin a little bit more polish. For me, for today, for example, and even just around the house over the past 10 days as I've been testing it, all of these that I've worn it, I rub it into my skin and then I feel like I have to go back and conceal on top of it. And so I put a little, and I did this, and I'll show you the footage. I'll put a little bit of the Makeup Forever to brighten, and I use a little bit of the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer to conceal those little spots. And in that capacity, it's not a good product because it doesn't provide a good sturdy base the way that good primers do, because it's a sunscreen and a lotion. And so I find that what happens is when I'm rubbing it into my skin, it feels really nice. And so I want to like take it up under my eyes. But then a couple of minutes later, the pigment of the moisturizer is gathering in the creases under my eyes. And the same thing, I want to like rub it in everywhere because it's being touted as like a skincare cum makeup product. But then a couple of minutes later, it's creasing in the pigment is creasing around my mouth and around my nose, and even gathering in like my pores a little bit and gathering if I have any dry spots. It doesn't end up looking as good and feeling as good on the skin as it does when I apply, for example, a really good sunscreen, a really like the Erin's Faces one that really melts into the skin and really absorbs, or one of my K-Beauty sunscreens, then a good primer that really primes the skin, and then a little bit of actual makeup. My skin ends up looking so much fresher, so much more seamless, and feeling much more light, like feeling like what's on it is lightweight when I do that than it does with this product. Because the other thing about this product is it doesn't really set ultimately. It feels like you've got a somewhat greasy moisturizer on your face for the entire day. And I find when I wear it that even though I might be pretty happy with the way that it initially looks upon application, a couple of hours later, if I'm sitting like this or this, it's kind of getting all over my hand. It gets onto my phone over the course of the day. And that's even with like concealing on top of it and then even applying a little bit of powder on top of it. This, the Dewy Business Glowy Super Gel, this is probably the least offensive in terms of what it does. It's, it's a primer. It's like a glowy, dewy primer that also is supposed to have skincare benefits. It's fine. It reminds me the most of my the Chanel Le Beige Fluid Illuminator. It's just like a slippy skincare illuminator. And I compared these side by side in the close-up swatches, so you'll see those, but you'll see that the Chanel one is more illuminating. It's just brighter. This looks really pretty when you first apply it, and then it dries down a little bit. And it's just not, it's also very watery. That's why the Chanel one is the one that it reminds me of, because it's the most watery of my three really wonderful illuminating base products. It's really watery and jelly. And then not jelly, but like gel-ish, like it's like a gel. It soaks in. It does leave the skin looking pretty nice and dewy, but it's so unremarkable compared to the ones that I've tried that are really remarkable. And yet again, it's confusing because it's like, this is a priming product, a makeup-y product, right? But this, on the back of it, the slip cover says, apply as the last step in your skincare routine. I assume you're supposed to apply this underneath a thing like this. Like you apply the priming, the dewy jelly priming glowy thing. And then on top of that, you apply the tinted product, right? Like you don't apply this on top of this. Doesn't make sense. And it would just pick it up and wear it away. But this says apply as the last step in your skincare routine. So where does this fit in? It's like the directions on the back of this don't know that this is also in the range of makeup from Saie. And again, it just makes me feel like it's not really being thought through. They're like, oh, we should make something that's like the Saie version of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. We should make something that's a Saie version of the Chanel Le Beige. Yeah, people love that stuff. Let's do that. And they're not really thinking about how it interacts with the other things in their line and what that's saying to customers about what exactly it is that they're offering. It just feels fractured. Today, I actually applied this first. And so the footage is of this going on to absolutely bare skin. And then I applied this second. They do play well together when you layer them that way. It's perfectly fine. I would want to use the Chanel one anytime instead of this one, although the Chanel one, of course, is scented and probably has ingredients in it that people who only try to purchase clean beauty or who are specifically trying to buy things that are from brands that are calling themselves clean beauty brands. The Chanel one probably has in it ingredients that you might wish to avoid if you're one of those people, and the Saie one probably doesn't. But for me, I would rather wear the Chanel one every time. And just briefly, in case you're wondering, the Hollywood Flawless Filter and the Auric Glow Lust are completely different products from the Saie one. It's much more lightweight. It's really just like a slick, thin gel that kind of disappears into the skin and leaves behind a little bit of illumination. And these are like thick semi-coverage products that just light your skin up, really see from space, glowy, a real cross between like a highlighter and a base product. It's not the same thing at all. I didn't even bother to do comparison swatches because this is just so much more thin of a priming product. Okay, all right, moving right along. Okay, maybe I was being unfair. I just looked up the Glowy Super Gel on the website and it says, welcome to the glowiest, lightest weight luminizer. Wear it alone or under or mixed with foundation or tinted SPF as a primer or over any look for a super glowy finish. I would never put this over other makeup. Really, no. It does not feel like that kind of an illuminator where you could put it on top. Like, no, it doesn't have that texture. It feels like it would mess up anything you put it on top of. But it does say in the directions that you can mix it with foundation, wear it under foundation, or wear it alone. So I guess you could make an argument. And maybe if I really loved these products, like if I really loved it, if this was like so incredible and the sunscreen was truly incredible and was my new favorite sunscreen, then probably I wouldn't mind the fact that it said that. I would be like, oh, well, obviously you can use this as the last step in your skincare routine if that's the way it works for you, or you can mix this with it, or you can wear this under it or whatever. Obviously, anyone could figure that out. That's what I would be saying if I thought that these were amazing products and they were really well formulated. But the fact that the formulas have felt so off to me and that the claims have not aligned with my experience has made me see all of the instructions and the marketing and everything kind of through that lens. And that's making me feel like that's one of the issues. The fact that it's not like they're obviously incompatible. It's like there's not really a united front in terms of what the products are presenting. Okay, let's move on to these last two. Gosh, like incredible confusing disappointments. And actually the Dew Balm. So the Dew Balm, it says this highlighter is more dew than strobe. So they're warning you that if you want to see it from space, you're not going to get it from this. True, it's not very strobe. I personally didn't find it very dew either, but it says giving cheeks and glow zones the most gorgeous wet sheen. I completely disagree with that. You can feel the plumping moisture. It feels so amazing. I completely disagree with that. And you'll love the long-lasting glossy finish. None of those adjectives apply. This is a problem. So this is it's the Dew Balm. I got the lilac one because I felt like it was the most original color. Like it's the most different from this kind of thing on the market. And I had maybe the highest hopes for this because I was like, how can you go wrong with a thing like this? First of all, it's so stiff. You'll see when in the close-up footage, and I don't have anything on my cheeks yet today, so I'm gonna apply it for you on camera. But look how much I'm squeezing it, and it's just like coming out so slowly. It's so stiff, and it says that it feels amazing. It does not feel amazing. And look at this. I'm trying to start breaking it up to rub it in, and it's just like a very thick paste. It feels like marzipan. And right out of the tube, it does not look in the least glowy. It looks like a very pale purple color correcting paste of some kind. So now as I'm starting to spread it on my hand, it's starting to warm up. It's starting to feel silkier. I'm starting to see where they're like getting those claims from. But it doesn't look very shiny, and it feels just like, I don't know, like icing. It feels kind of like icing. You've warmed up the sugars in it and now it's like very slick, but it just doesn't promise anything. Like I look at this and I'm like, I don't want my cheeks to have this on them. And also this is a very thick layer on my hand, and I definitely don't want to put that thick of a layer on my cheeks. I'm not trying to cast aspersions here, my conspiracy allegedly. I'm just telling you how I feel. I'm not saying I think that this is true. I'm just telling you how I feel. This makes me feel like the reviews on the website are fake because the reviews are so glowing. They say things like, I didn't know I needed this and now I can't live without it. And I'm so obsessed with this. I have nothing like this. I've never seen anything like this. And I just can't envision how like 135 people would be having that experience with this product. I love makeup and I've tried so many different kinds of makeup and I have a pretty open mind and I am pretty creative about how to make it work and I understand the appeal of a whole variety of different aesthetics. And it's hard for me to believe. I'm not saying that I disbelieve it and that I think that they're liars. It's just hard for me to believe that all of these people individually came onto the website and wrote the things that are written here about this product. It's just hard. It's hard for me to believe. All right, here we go. Okay, so you're seeing a sheen there. As I'm tapping it, first of all, I feel like I feel like it's mixing a little bit with the sun visor, which is still on my skin and not set because it doesn't set, it's just a moisturizer. So it's mixing a little with the moisturizer and it's picking up on my finger this mixture of this product with the moisturizer, and the tapping is like mattifying it, sort of like this brindled mix of it that's breaking apart on my skin. And that's what's now on my cheek, right? Like it's a layer in that style that's been applied to my cheek. It's giving me the same emotional reaction and like level of interest that I get when I like try something from like e.l.f. or Wet n Wild that seems promising because it's in the vein of what's popular right now, but then the formula is just really disappointing because they've really just made like a very cheap, very underperforming version of a thing that is popular on the market right now, and it's not really meant to last. It's just kind of meant to sell for a while because people are buying that kind of thing. That's how I feel about this product after playing with it for 10 days and, applying it just now. It's just so lackluster, except that it's $18 as opposed to the like $3 that it might be if it were something from e.l.f. If you gave this to me in an unmarked tube to test, and then you came back a week later and you were like, what brand do you think this is? I would guess either e.l.f. or Wet n Wild. And I do love some of e.l.f.'s cream cheek products. So I'm not saying that everything from e.l.f. is bad. It's just the products like this that I've tried from e.l.f. and from other drugstore brands that are bad in this way, where it's like, it looks like the thing, it seems like the thing, it's marketed like the thing, it has the claims of the thing, but then when you put it on, it's just so disappointing compared to the thing. The thing being like the thing that's trending, like the makeup that's trending. So there's the dew balm on my cheeks. Keep in mind that everything looks amazing under the beauty lights, but I feel like even saying that, I feel like it doesn't look that great, even in the monitor. Those are the first 4 products, and you would think that they would at least be able to make a lip gloss, especially considered that it's called Really Great Gloss. This is the order in which I tried the product, and I got through to this one and I was like, well, at least this is probably gonna be something that I'll enjoy and can use because I love a lip gloss. It says Really Great Gloss, and it just seems like something that would be difficult to F up. I actually think that the gloss might actually be the most bewildering in terms of the way in which it disappoints me of all of them, because for a sunscreen that's trying to be, totally lightweight and universal to pill, that's a very common problem. It's hard to formulate a good sunscreen. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not like shocked or confused because, that's a thing. When a base product goes wrong or a sunscreen goes wrong, a lot of times that's what happens. For this to not be as light as I thought it was, not the color I thought it was, I half expected that. You know what I mean? Like it happens all the time. It's very rare that a tinted moisturizer range will go light enough for me. For it to be very light coverage, totally expected. For it to not set down. I mean, it just makes sense. It's too bad that it's not amazing, but the way in which it's not good makes sense. The way in which this is not good makes sense. It's just lackluster. It's just, nothing to write home about. The way in which this is not good makes a little bit less sense. Like as we get into the makeup stuff, it's like, it makes a little bit less sense to me. It's like, really? But this, I don't understand why the formula is the way it is. So first of all, and this is in the color Fresh. Let's read the claims. Next level lip gloss. Our cushy, no. Oil infused, probably. Base, hugs lips with just right shine and a hint of color. It plumps and hydrates. No. I do not think it plumps and hydrates. Feels ridiculously comfy, never sticky. That's true. It's not sticky. That claim is true. Really good for you, really easy to love, really great gloss. No, not easy to love. So of all of these claims, I agree that it's not sticky, and it says really good for you, which again, it's if you are sensitive to ingredients, or you prioritize brands that call themselves clean beauty brands or that omit certain ingredients, then sure, that claim is probably the case. What they mean by really good for you is probably the case. I feel like all of the other claims are not true. First of all, it smells so gross, and it's in this way. I usually like sweet sugar smells. Like I like vanilla, I like sweet smells. It smells like maple flavored, but so fake. Like the worst of the worst, like maple instant oatmeal in a packet, but from a really, really, really off brand, and so gross that you wouldn't even want to eat it. Or like brown sugar, but it's in like a disgusting old plastic container or packaging. You know what I mean? And you look at the expiration date and it's like 10 years old. The brown sugar has like melted and then like hardened into the plastic. And so you've got this like plastic mixed with brown sugar and you smell it. It's repulsive. And if it were a really great gloss and it just had that smell, then I would probably be able to get over it, because I could like train my brain to interpret the smell as being just like a sweet, almost like vanilla or brown sugar smell. But because of the texture and the disappointment of the wear, it makes it feel like something's gone wrong. Like it makes it feel like it is made out of 10-year-old brown sugar packaged in plastic, because it's so thin. I've been wearing it this whole time. I put it on a new application right before I sat down to film the video, and it's already worn off completely. And as it's worn off, it's left my lips feeling dry. Like they feel like they're starting to contract a little bit around the evaporated product. So I'm going to reapply. It's so unpleasantly thin. And sure, it looks shiny right now. Like what gloss wouldn't? But it's so unremarkable. The shine is so unremarkable, and the feel is a little bit weird and just so thin and watery, and evaporates right away and doesn't feel nourishing. Or maybe it's soaking in. Maybe it's like soaking in rather than evaporating, because it's not water, you know what I mean? But whatever it's doing, it's soaking in and it's making my lips feel a little bit like pruny. Like prune, like you've been in the bath for too long, like your lips have been in the bath for too long. It is most like a lip oil. If they had marketed this as a lip oil, I wouldn't be so mad, because I would have known what I was getting, like something really thin and not very long lasting. Like it's really thin and it only stays for 10 or 15 minutes. And so you want to be continually applying it. If they had marketed it as a lip oil and that was what I was expecting, then I would just be sitting here like, the smell's really bad. But I would be like, I don't really like lip oils because they don't last very long. But if you like lip oils, and you might like this, but the smell's really bad. That would be the only complaint. But to market this as a gloss and just to call it really great gloss and to say that it's cushy and to say that it plumps and hydrates. No, like that makes me mistrust this brand deeply, because those are buzzwords. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to believe. They've written this description based on other descriptions of other lip glosses that sell well, and not based on the experience of applying to one's lips the product. And I think that is the key to like what has gone wrong overall. What the genesis of this brand was, what the intention of it is, and why it's been such a horrible experience for me. That is it. That is my review of Saie Beauty. I hope that if you came here with questions about individual products or about the brand at large, that I've helped answer your questions. At this moment, I'm feeling like I want to give some sort of like softening caveat, like maybe it works for some people, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like you guys are intelligent enough to figure that out on your own. You know what I mean? Like if you and I have really different preferences, then you could probably tell by the things that I didn't like about these products, what it is that you will like about them. So all I've done is just to give you my experience, and you can take it and run with it for yourself. Thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this in some way and for some reason. And I really, really hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself today, so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.